Both the House and Senate have rolled out their respective budget proposals. How are they different?
Well, the House budget, which was really voted on a party line basis, is a $39 billion biennial budget. It includes about $1.5 billion in new tax increases, which are basically comprised with a 5% capital gains tax, another increase in the B&O tax of 1.8%, and it also ends 7 tax exemptions. That's the House budget, which relies on that, again, that $39 billion biennial total figure. And that's problematic for a couple reasons. First, it's a significant increase in taxes will have to be raised in order to fund the increased spending in that House budget. And then secondly, the House has increased spending upwards of 11% from the last biennial budget. So again, it's an inability or refusal by the House majority to live within the means that the state economy is generating. We have additional $3 billion that our economy has generated from the last biennial budget. I think that would have been more than enough to fund caseload increases and also fully fund our McCleary obligation. We could have done that within our existing revenue, but instead, unfortunately, the House budget takes the different course of raising spending even further and then consequently raising taxes significantly to pay for that increased spending. The Senate budget, on the other hand, doesn't spend as much. It's about a $37.5 billion budget as opposed to the $39 billion in the House. Significantly, it doesn't raise taxes. It lives within existing revenue, and it also assumes some additional revenue increases from the sale of recreational marijuana, which that was one of the promises of recreational marijuana, is that the tax collections would be realized by the state and used for worthwhile purposes. And so, even though the Senate budget increases spending by about $4 billion, it does so without a tax increase. It fully, again, funds our McCleary obligation, reduces college tuition, doesn't freeze college tuition, reduces tuition, in fact, and it makes significant investments in early K-12 education from the standpoint of lower class size reductions in grades K through 3. So I think that the Senate approach represents a approach that I would agree with in terms of living within our means, making sure that we fully fund our education system as required by the court in McCleary, and at the same time prioritizes and doesn't spend more than we take in.
Session is scheduled to adjourn April 26. What's the likelihood of the legislature adjourning on time?
Well, as I mentioned, the House and the Senate have both passed budgets. There's a far gap between the two, about a $1.5 billion gap between the House and the Senate budget. Budget negotiations are ongoing. It's really, at this point, it's a question as to whether or not we can reach a compromise by Sunday's April 26th final day. It becomes a little bit more difficult when, for instance, I think the governor recently indicated that he would veto any budget that didn't include a $1.5 billion tax increase. So that's problematic, and that, I guess, kind of forecasts for me the likelihood of at least one special session to work through these budget issues. Regardless, if we enter a special session or adjourn for interim, please remember that I'm your representative year-round. Please don't hesitate to contact me using the information on your screen if you have suggestions, comments, or concerns you'd like to share. It's an honor for me to serve you. Thank you.